Hello, friends, and welcome to the podcast today. I am so excited for this episode. Today, I'm going to have Jen on the podcast, and Jen went through my course, Healthy Inside and Out, and she also did some EFT or tapping sessions with me. So she's going to be sharing her experience. Before we get started, I just want to share a little bit about the course so that you guys are understanding what it is as she is talking. So in this course, Healthy Inside Now, it's really focused on how to nourish your body, lower inflammation, and feel better, and really find a sustainable way to eat. Start to understand nutrition, start to connect to your body. So this course is 8 modules, and it's modules instead of weeks because I want people to go through it at their own pace, to not rush. But there's a lot of information in here, but it's paced out so that things are broken down. So in the first week, it's really about developing a strong foundation, understanding your goals, understanding your whys. I even have bonuses like meal planning and cleaning routines in there. Because when we know our why, that really helps us with our motivation. So we spend a little time there. Each week, there's also going to be a meditation in here because mindset is so important. It really rules what we're doing and what we don't do. So we have to come back to a place to have a really good mindset about ourselves, to feel good about our body right where we are. In module 2, we go into mindful eating and intuitive eating, really understanding how to listen to the cues of our body. And then module 3 and 4, we're going into blood sugar balance because this is huge when it comes to nutrition. We're going to go over protein intake, fiber intake. I'm going to give you specific ideas of how to get more fiber, how to get more protein. We're going to talk about the glycemic index, my blood sugar hacks that I love to talk about. So you can really start to balance your blood sugar. And really these first 4 modules are so foundational when it comes to nutrition that even if you just do these 4 modules and you really can understand this, implement it, and come into a better mindset, it's going to make such a difference. And then after that, we go to talk about metabolism, really understanding what increases, what slows down our metabolism. We're checking in with our goals and our vision throughout the course. And then we go into inflammatory foods, polyphenols. How can we really bump up our nutrition and tweak the way we're eating to really lower inflammation in our body? And then we go into gut health and exercise. And then we stick with that mindset, noticing our perceptions and our stress. And then in the last module is really talking about toxins, what overloads our body toxin-wise, how to really up-level our nutrition. And this is all designed to help you to feel better, to really come to a place of nourish your body, to get out of that diet culture. And you're also going to hear her talk about EFT sessions. So when you purchase the course, you have the ability to upgrade to get some coaching sessions. Also, my clients who do my personal training app and my coaching, I give this course for free. And in those EFT sessions or coaching in general is a really great spot to really be able to step back and look at what emotional piece is going on. What is your mindset? What are those things that you are missing? Because when we start to change the way we're thinking, when we become aware of our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, it really can make a difference in what we're doing, those actions we're taking or not taking, but also our relationship with food, our relationship with our body. And sometimes that really helps to have a supportive person along your side. All right, so that was a really long intro, but I just wanted to share that before we get started. And if you guys are interested in working with me, there's going to be links down below where you can check out the course. And also you can just check out the other services that I offer. You'll also have the ability to set up a free call. So before I work with someone, especially when it comes to coaching, I like to do a free call and just make sure that we are a fit. Hello, Jen, and welcome to the podcast today. So Jen did my Healthy Inside and Out course. She also did a couple EFT tapping sessions with me too. And she is just here to share her experience today. So welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
And so tell everybody just a little background about you, what your life looks like right now.
Yeah. So I am now a stay-at-home mom with my 2 sons. I taught for 10 years, taught 2nd grade and 3rd grade. I just had my second little boy 7 months ago. And so taking the course was a good time for me because I was about 4 months postpartum. And so it's kind of like getting back into like not only being in survival mode, but hoping to like get more of the healthy habits back and not just like living day to day.
Yeah, it is hard with those little ones, especially two little ones.
Yeah.
There's always a lot going on, and it's real easy to take the focus off of yourself and your health. So tell me, what shift in priorities have you had from taking this course when it comes to those habits and that different focus and intention for yourself?
Yeah, so I feel like the biggest takeaway was especially about mindful eating and then incorporating that more with balanced eating, especially with like snacks. So the mindful eating is something that I have been focusing on for a while. It's been tricky to figure out. But so that helped, especially I remember the meditation in that module about mindful eating. Because I was 4 months postpartum and kind of just feeling kind of negative about my body and just being able to realize what a gift it was to be pregnant and then have a healthy baby and be able to take care of him. And then just like it kind of changed my mindset of the thinking about the mindful eating instead of like thinking about food and like feeling guilty about certain foods or not punishing myself because I never like punished myself for anything, but like just the feeling of, oh, that was negative or that's like a bad food or things like that, where it's like, you know what, my body has done a lot and I need to be grateful for it. And instead of like focusing on the negative, don't eat, shouldn't eat, whatever, then it helped me be more mindful of like what is going to fuel my body and what are some positives I can add in instead of negatives to take out. And just that positive idea was really kind of a game changer.
Yeah, I love that. Mindset is so important and it's so often overlooked. So in the course, I have different modules. Like she said, week 2 is like the mindful, intuitive eating. Then we go into blood sugar balance after that. But every week, I also have meditations because I think it's a great way to really tap into yourself and to become more in tune and to change how you feel about yourself. So that one meditation, how can we start to become grateful for our bodies right where we are now? Because we're here right now. And if we're fighting our body and hating our body, we're not going to take those steps forward that we need. So yes, we can change, but yes, how can we appreciate our body? And man, especially when it does hard things like giving birth to kids, taking care of them, all those things, to really be able to appreciate our body when we're in such a culture looks at the outside that we want to be a certain size and look a certain way. How can we shift towards that, like you said, loving our body? And so tell me some things that you liked about the course. So definitely it sounds like you liked the meditations that were included. Anything else?
Like also the specific examples. I remember in the section about like adding more fiber to your diet, just like the examples of how much like, oh, raspberries actually have a decent amount of fiber. And, you know, just like all the little details of like, to me, it made it seem like, okay, well, if I want to include more fiber in my snacks and meals, and it's like, oh, I also like my oldest boy has some GI issues sometimes. So how can I like, what are some examples of snacks that I can also help him with, you know? And it's like, okay, well, here's some very specific examples that were like, obviously for me, where I am in my life, it's like, I don't have time to do a whole bunch of Googling and all that stuff. So it's just like, oh, well, here's a list of things that what has fiber and like how much fiber it has. And that was really helpful too. Just kind of like those examples of, you know, how can you implement this? Or here are some like concrete examples.
Yes, definitely try to have everything in there. And I loved how you brought up like the way I talk about nutrition in the course is how we want kids to eat for the most part too. So a lot of the stuff we can include for our kids, for our family members, because we want them to eat healthy too. Kids are building these healthy habits. And especially if you're the mom or you're sort of the leader in your household, when you really start to focus on you, because we don't want to worry about other people at first, but when we focus on us and change our eating habits, that's impacting our kids. And we don't have to try to control everything or make them eat perfectly, but it starts to roll over into them. So I love how you shared that too. And so for you, it sounds like mindset. You can talk about that. What really has changed for you from taking this course from the beginning to where you are now?
I'd say in the beginning, I was thinking a lot about like plating and being mindful of like, okay, how much have I already eaten and how much more before I know that I'll feel like satisfied. And then I don't know, we might talk more about later, but like after the EFT sessions that we did, like that was huge for me, especially with like emotional eating. And so for me, I mean, the whole like mindful eating and emotional eating, like I hadn't had like a breakthrough kind of like that, trying other things or reading other books. So that was really helpful.
Yeah. So for people that don't know, I'm working on an EFT or tapping certification. So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. So I did a few sessions with Jen because I have to do 50 practice sessions to get my certification. I'm getting closer. I'm almost there. So we did some sessions to work on emotional eating, really connect these pieces. And it can be EFT so powerful when we're working with cravings or really the stuff that drives us to those cravings, those things underneath. When we take the time to work on those and process that, it really changes our relationship and it changes those automatic behaviors, those automatic habits like, hey, I'm stressed. I'm going to grab this because it makes me feel better. When we can start to break that down, we have a lot more freedom. So for you adding that a couple EFT sessions with learning more about fiber, protein, and mindful eating really helped to make that difference. Share a little bit more about your experience with EFT, what you thought of it, how it helped you.
Yeah. At first, I did feel a little self-conscious doing it with the tapping, but then you kind of like get into a groove because it's very like repetitive. And so it's just kind of like, for me, it kind of like freed up my mind because it was repetitive. So you don't have to like think about it a lot. And for me, some of like the biggest takeaway that I had was for me, I ate a lot or like treats or whatever to reward myself after a long day. And I realized that like I was subconsciously telling myself that I deserved it because I did a good job or, whatever. Like hard day as a mom kind of a thing. And then once I realized that, I was like, that is, I mean, not like a self confidence thing, but when you're conscious of it, then you can like, I can tell myself that I'm doing a good job in other ways because now that I've like kind of uncovered the why, like it doesn't always have to be about, do we have any chocolate in the house? Because I deserve it. And it's like, yeah, you always deserve it. Like it's not like you don't deserve it or whatever. But like you had mentioned in one of our sessions of making it more like a conscious choice versus like a habit that you do like subconsciously or because just like for emotional reasons. And for me, the emotional reasons weren't really, I didn't understand them until we had gone through those sessions. And so I was actually thinking about this last week. Actually, it was like, hey, like I haven't even felt the need to go downstairs. I'm like, sometimes I do feel cravings, but then it feels more specific. Like, oh, I really would like some ice cream or I would like some chocolate instead of like, what is already in my kitchen that I can have, which is more what it was like. And it's really been interesting because I do feel like the changes that I've made are like small, but they really also make a big impact of like, not just like for me right now, my journey is more like overall health related versus being at a certain size or things like that. But just like the idea of like, oh, that emotional piece of my emotional eating, like this week when I was thinking about it, I was like amazed that it was so powerful because I actually haven't gone downstairs to see what's available just to treat myself. And I found other ways to do that. Or I have an app that is like about gratitude and things like that. And that's actually helped me as well. I think probably connected with the emotional eating, but just kind of like, it really did make a big difference. And it was kind of surprising because I had never tried the EFT before. And so it was really cool.
Yeah, EFT is so powerful. And I think doing it with a coach first makes a big difference because you can pull up The EFT I do is clinical EFT. So it's very different from if you pull up a YouTube video and you're following along what the person does. When you do it with a coach or when you learn how to do it by yourself, because it's also a tool that you can use for yourself, you're using your words, your feelings, your emotions. So it's not scripted. So just want to share that's like a pretty big difference. But that is so powerful. And like you said, when you can be in choice with food and treats. So it doesn't mean you can't have them, but it means that when you're going to have that treat, that you're very conscious of what you're doing, that you are making a choice that you do want that instead of that mindless, I deserve this, I need this, or I just ate ice cream and I didn't even realize I ate ice cream. When we can be in choice and feel controlled around it, that's where we get to see that difference. And just like you said, those small changes that we can make and sustain, those mindset shifts that we can change so that our actions and what's happening is different can really have a big impact. Yes, and I love how that app for that gratitude, because we want to focus our brain on where we want to go. We want to work through the things that we need to, but how can I maybe listen to an app about gratitude instead of going downstairs and grabbing a treat when I don't really need it? So powerful. And so, like you said, your goal for yourself is overall health. So are there any changes that you noticed in your body throughout this? And it could be feelings, it could be size, it could be anything.
I think in general, just the feeling more in choice, as you say, like about most of my eating. And I was on that journey before I took the course, but I do feel like it's been a lot more solidified because before I was like kind of focusing more on not overeating. Like really paying attention to my body signals and stuff. So that was something that I worked on previously, but I feel like for me, the emotional eating has really, really been key for me.
Yeah. And I think it's also important for people listening is when we talk about emotional eating, sometimes people aren't even recognizing it. Because I would say, talking to you, it's not like you're some big emotional eater. Like I'm stressed and you like have to get something. But you became very aware of what was going on and how there was an emotion or feeling, even though it wasn't super strong or anything crazy, but it led you to eat when you didn't really want to eat. So sometimes even boredom, it's not like a strong emotion, but when we're bored and we eat and we're not hungry, we're not really in choice. So I think it's important for people to really be able to almost take a step back and evaluate, do I have some emotional eating going on? Am I eating when I don't really want to or when I'm not in choice? And can be really powerful. And so for your health, and it could be something inside or outside of the course, what are you working on right now? So that could include movement or exercise or anything else. What are your current habits that you're working on?
Yeah. Right now, I am focusing on including more fiber, especially like fruits and vegetables and like whole grains, especially in like snacks. So it's not as much like processed stuff. Like I am definitely far from someone who doesn't ever have processed food, but just like, well, okay, normally it's really easy to grab a granola bar, but just kind of like, okay, well, what has more staying power? Or, it's like, can I pair, like some carrots and some hummus, or just kind of like thinking more about, especially snacks, I guess is what I'm working on. Like when I do feel hungry, but not quite for a meal, what's like a good choice instead of just like an easy choice.
Yeah, I love that. Being more intentional, shifting that little bit more towards whole foods, focusing on the fiber is perfect. And so if you're thinking about someone who would be a good fit for this course, who do you think would enjoy it and get some good information out of it?
For me, I was already kind of on a journey of like intuitive eating and like looking for healthy choices. But so I feel like someone like that would benefit from it. I also think that someone who just kind of wants some of the basics of, okay, well, what does food do for our bodies, or like how what is my food and my nutrition doing for my body or making it harder for my body to function the best it can, who's kind of just curious about how those things work with your body, more like scientifically, I guess. Like, okay, what's the breakdown of, you know, the pre and probiotics, or like what does fiber do for us, or like those kinds of things. I think that would be really helpful for someone who is like curious in how it does affect their health and how they feel in their body.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking as you were saying that, how bringing more awareness to our body, bringing that awareness to our mindset. How do things make me feel? I often find that people are pretty out of touch with their bodies, out of touch with hunger or fullness cues. Even when exercising, like, do I push myself? We don't know how to really come back and listen to our bodies because we always feel like we're just like following something. Well, Jen, thank you so much for being vulnerable and coming on here and sharing. I appreciate it so much.
No problem.
All right, friends, thank you for listening to this episode today. And I encourage you that if you need extra support, if you're feeling stuck, to use the links down below to set up a free call.